Hi there, this is Renee from Floating Lights Photography, and today I'm going to show you how to remove lens flare from a photo using a technique called frequency separation. So we're going to work on this photo here. I took it a couple years ago of my sweet little kids back when they were small and cute. Just kidding, they're still small and cute. Anyhow, so there's this big flare here that I don't like on the grass, and then there's also this really inconvenient flare on Lannon's head that I'd like to get rid of as well. So I'll show you how I do that. The first thing you're going to do is create a new layer, and you're going to do that by selecting this little new page button down here. It looks like a new page, and it's just going to be a blank layer over top of the background. And before we do any changes to that layer, you're going to select the blend mode and change it to color. And then you're going to get a brush, and I'm going to zoom in here, and you're going to brush the pigment color out of the flare. So to do that, you're going to get your color picker, which you can get by selecting Option or Alt on a PC, and select a close by color, and you're going to paint that color onto the flare. So it's taking the pigment color out of the flare. It's not actually removing the flare. You can see there's still the flare line is still there in the grass, so I'm going to show you how to remove that after. But for right now, just use your color picker and select a close by color and remove the pigment that you don't want in the flare out of the flare. So I'm going to let you do that. I'll finish up here. Alright, so we've removed the pigment from this flare, and now I want to do the same thing up by Lannon's head here. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more and do the same thing up here to this flare. I'm just going to remove the pigment. So selecting a brush, I'm just going to select a close by color and remove the color pigment from that flare. I'll do the same thing here, and I'll fast forward just to make it faster. Alright, so the pigment's been removed. I'm just going to zoom out and do a before and after. So there's the after. Here's the before. They're very orangey yellow flares, and after we've removed the pigment color from them. So now we're going to merge these two layers together, or create a new merged layer. And to do that on a Mac, you're going to select Command, Option, Shift, and E. It's going to create this new layer. On a PC, I believe it's Control, Alt, Shift, and E. And then you're going to duplicate this layer, this new merged layer. So to do that, again, it's Command J, or on a PC, it's Control J. And so we have two new layers. Now, just for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to call this layer Color, and I'm going to call this layer Texture. And what frequency separation does is it's going to separate the color from the texture, so when we go to clone, we remain the same texture, or the picture will remain the same texture, and it's going to just change the color. So to do that, we're going to make sure you're on the color layer, go up to the filter, you're going to go to blur, and select Gaussian blur. And you're going to select a radius that makes your pixels merge color, or your color pixels merge together. So I'm thinking somewhere between probably 9 and 15 is a good ballpark. You'll have to play around with your image, and you just want it to be blended colors so that that flare color is gone, and so that it looks more like skin or grass or whatever you're aiming for in your image. So I'm going to go with 13 since I'm there right now, and hit OK. And now you're going to go up to the texture layer, and we're going to go to Image, Apply Image, and we're going to make some changes here. So if yours is not already set, it's probably set to merged. You're going to change it to your layer to color. You're going to make sure your invert is selected, is checked. You're going to change your blend mode to add. Your opacity is going to remain at 100, and your scale is going to change from 1 to 2. And then you're going to hit OK. And one more thing we do to this layer is change it from the blend mode from normal to linear light. And it doesn't look like it's done much. It looks exactly like the original, but I'm going to zoom in and show you the difference. So this texture layer, if we remove this color, if we turn this off by clicking the little eyeball, it's going to show you that it's retained all the texture in the image. And if we turn off the texture layer and turn the color back on, it's going to show you that we're blurring the colors. So that is great. the next step is to create another new layer, a blank layer, and you're going to create it in between the color and the texture layers. And to do that, you just make sure you're on the color and you hit the little new layered button down here. If for some reason you forgot that in your layers up here, all you have to do is drag and drop it into the middle. So you want it to be in between the color and the texture layer. And now you're going to go over to your clone stamp, and you're going to make sure that up here on the drop down, instead of all layers, it's probably defaulted to all layers, you're going to set it to current layer and below. So you're only going to clone layer 2 and the color below it, these layers below it. So you're going to get your clone stamp. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And you're going to clone in the color. This just blends the color a little bit better. So you've taken the pigment out, and now we're going to blend the color a little bit better. So I will go ahead and do that here. I'm going to let you do yours. So we're all done now. Our color's been cloned out. We've blended the color in a little bit using the clone stamp over top of the color layer. And now there's just one finishing step. But before we get to that, I'll just merge these layers together. So to do that, I select them all and then hit the little drop down button. You can't see this, but I'm selecting new group from layers. I'm just going to leave it at group 1 is fine. And so there's the before. Here's the after. And so the last touch up is to add one more new layer. You're going to make sure that your clone stamp is on and that your drop down is still set to current and below. Now you're just going to clone out the edges of the image or of the lens flare. So again, select my clone stamp. This flare is still really prominent, and if you use your clone stamp and just kind of go around the edges, you're gonna remove that flare right out of there. The middle part is already been, the color's already been changed to match, so it's really just a matter of removing the edges of your flare. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and do that. I'm gonna do this one here. And I'm going to go up here and just clone out his, the line on his skin here as well. Alright, so that's done. I'm going to zoom out. And unless you knew that there was a lens flare there, it would be very hard for you to tell that there was. So you have to just play around with it, use your clone stamp, have some patience, and do the best job that you can. So I'm going to show you the before and after, the complete before and after. So here is the before, and here is the after. So I hope that helps you if you ever have lens flare in your photo. If you enjoyed this tutorial, I would love to answer any questions that you have. If you want to email me at hello@floatinglightsphoto.com, or you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/floatinglightsphotography. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.